Those four players, you're Washington on the board at 7. What would you do? All right. Washington has 7 overall. They were horrendous on defense. They need 5 to 6 contributors, significant contributors on defense, and they need a new coordinator as well. So I'm going to give you at 7 a choice of the following: Reuben Bain, David Bailey, or, just because I want to find out where you have this guy, Jeremiah Love. Actually, let me throw one other player into the mix, Caleb Downs. Those 4 players, you're Washington on the board at 7. What would you do?
I would take Reuben Bain if I was Washington, because Washington, not only have they needed the edge rusher now for years, and not only has it culminated in taking the seasons down the last couple of years, that position, but also you need a 2A1, right? You want the guy that can run defend in addition to getting after the quarterback. Yeah. That's Reuben Bain, and you have a shot at getting access to him potentially because of the shorter arms thing, right? Like, in my opinion, that guy should be a top 3 pick. But there is that possibility that he falls out of the top 5 just because of the short arms. But I've seen him destroy offensive tackles, NFL offensive tackles, over and over and over again throughout his career. Most recently, we saw it on Monday night. He was against Carter Smith, the Indiana tackle. Carter Smith's going to go in the top 75, and he had no chance, none, against Reuben Bain. So as far as addressing the Commanders' need at the right value, for me, it would be Reuben Bain.
He's not twitchy like Bailey, though, in terms of a pure, menacing threat as a pass rusher at the next level. I mean, I totally agree with you, because they need an edge-setting run stopper, too. They need everything. But yes, as a pass rusher, do you think Bailey will end up being a bigger, have to game plan for guy than Bain, or not?
I do think so. Yeah. Just as the pure pass rusher, I love Bailey's game with that. And I do think he's a fit for Washington. It's just, you're going to get a little bit better of a pass rusher, but you're going to have to take the trade-off of the worst run defense. Bailey makes flash plays against the run. It's the same thing of getting into the backfield really, really quickly, and he'll blow plays up quick. But on the plays where he doesn't, that's where you can just blast him out of the hole and move him around. Because obviously the thing that he lacks, it's the play strength there out on the edge. So it's just the fit thing with Washington, and knowing that they also want to improve the run defense at that position is why, for them, I might lean towards Bain. But we did a mock exercise earlier today on a different show I was on. I gave Bailey to the Commanders because I had Bain going number 4 to the Titans. I think both those guys are in play. And I know that Washington fans really want Caleb Downs. That's what I've been hearing, is the fan base of Washington talking a lot about Caleb Downs. I wouldn't necessarily, argue too hard about that. At number 7 in a draft class that is devoid of blue chip talent, we know that Caleb Downs is a blue chipper at that position. It's just with the needs of Washington, you wonder if, whether it's Bain or a Bailey available there against, let's say, a Downs or against a Love. I think they might then prefer to go the edge rusher with that position.
Can you imagine Bain lining up next to Jeffrey Simmons in Tennessee? Because I think Simmons still, I don't think fans understand how great he is. And he was phenomenal this year.
And he would finally get some help. And with another marauder there, just pure power on those guys, that would be difficult to contend with.
Is Caleb Downs what some people have said? Is he Ed Reed? I mean, come on. What is he? Who's his comp?
Caleb Downs, you hear Ed Reed. Certainly that's probably actually the way that I would lead. It's the one I got on my sheet right now. There's other ones that you could certainly make the arguments for. I like the Ed Reed one, though, just because of the instincts. They're always around the ball. And I think they're going to end up having fairly similar measurables. But, there are a lot of similarities there.
Is Jeremiah Love, a guy that is going to end up being a Bijan or a Jahmyr Gibbs or a Barkley, where you're taking him super high and it pays off?
Yeah, yes and no. Like some of those guys I prefer to Love. I see Love kind of like Reggie Bush coming out of USC, where it's that straight line propulsion from a guy who also is really good in the passing game. He had a mix and match guy with him at Notre Dame in Jadarian Price, and they give Jadarian Price some of the carries and offset some of the workload. I like Jeremiah Love's game a lot. And again, in this class, it doesn't have a lot of blue chippers. I do think he's probably going in the top 10. But, for instance, I would have preferred Saquon Barkley coming out. I think I even would have preferred Genty, if having like a number on it. Just slightly. They're very different kind of players. Obviously, Genty was in a terrible situation this year, but yeah, I do think that Love deserves to go in the top 10. But if I'm Washington, for me, it would either be the edge rusher or Downs. That's what my list would be, even though I understand why the Commanders might look at the running back position there, and maybe the fans might advocate for it too.
Give me a guy or two right now that or you have a hunch is going to be underdrafted, and then a guy or two that'll end up being overdrafted.
In terms of overdrafted, I think one of the guys, Spencer Fano from Utah, I think is the offensive tackle. I think is going to go a little bit higher than I would be comfortable with, especially in this offensive line class. He's undersized. He's just a little bit over 300 pounds. He is a good athlete, but I've seen him struggle, certainly against power. But I've also seen him struggle against movement a little bit more than I would like for a guy whose entire profile is sort of built on that. I think, same position going the other way, a guy that I think is going to get underdrafted and is going to overproduce on his draft slot is Monroe Freeling, the tackle from Georgia, who was sort of a surprise declare at the very end. But Monroe Freeling is an absolutely insane athlete, 99.8 percentile on-field athlete using the chips, just the GPS chips or whatever, last season. The data on him as far as an athlete is just crazy. And it's an ascending talent who might be a little bit, a year early. The NFL is expecting him next year, not this year. But I think he goes at the end of the first round. And I think he has as much ability as anyone in this tackle class, and arguably has the highest upside of any of them.
Do you like Branch from Georgia, the receiver? Because I've seen him mocked in the first round. I've also seen him mocked outside of the first round. He looks like Luther Burden, but better to me.
Yeah, he's a really tough one because you wonder, is he a guy like that? Is he a guy like a Zay Flowers, like someone like that? Or is he McCall Hardman, all over again, where it's the undersized guy with the 4.3 speed that can't win downfield without the ball in his hands. Zachariah Branch, the concerning element of his profile is how many of his touches, and he had a lot of touches in college, but how many of the receptions came within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage? And we've seen some of these manufactured touch guys that go to the NFL and they have a little bit more excitement behind them, and then they end up failing. Your Rondale Moores, your Laviska Shenaults, different guys like that. Can he sort of overcome that? And look, God doesn't give that kind of athletic profile to many guys. I mean, he is just lightning in the bottle as an athlete. Certainly going to improve a return game, if nothing else, and will certainly give utility on those manufactured touches. But can you get more out of him? And I think that's sort of going to be the investigation into film by some of these teams. And when you get them in the room of why weren't you used more down the field? You were with Lincoln Riley, then you're at Georgia with a really good coaching staff. Why did both of them decide that your best usage was within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage? Be really curious with that. But Kevin, to your point, it is a guy that really intrigues me because there's just not many guys that go into the NFL that move that way.
I mean, we saw one Monday night who will, we're still a couple of years away from Malachi Toney being.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he looks like Tyreek Hill, doesn't he? The way he plays.
Oh, he sure does, and he's a bulldog too. I love when Malachi he blocks as well. He's throwing passes, he's running. Malachi Toney does it all. I can't wait for him to be in the league.
Yeah. This was great as always. Oh, last one. Sorry. So you said this, you implied this, that it's not a great draft. So you just kind of rate this draft based on, a draft that's normal. Is it better than, worse than, how much so? And if there's an area of strength, where is it?
I would like if all the drafts were on kind of like a bell curve, and you have an A, you have an F and everything in between. I'd probably have this one as like a D+. I do think it's a down class, and predominantly because we don't have those blue chip guys. And this is something of a function of NIL with how many guys went back. We had one of the sparsest lists of underclassmen declarees this year that you'll ever see. The thing where I think maybe it's a little bit better, I think the depth is okay. I think that especially at a couple positions in particular, like the wide receiver depth of this class, I like some of the defensive positions, linebacker in particular. I like the depth of it. We're getting to the end of the guys that got the extra year of eligibility from the COVID season. So you're starting to see all those guys' eligibility vanish. The guys who had a choice, most of them went back.
You mean
school.
Carson Beck can't go back and play another year?
He can't get an 8th year, at least as far as we know. And we'll see on some of these.
Do you
other
think he's an
guys,
NFL quarterback real quickly? Because I do.
Yeah, I think he's going to get drafted probably 4th, 5th round, something like that. He's probably going to be like the 7th or 8th quarterback on my list. He can make the quick decisions and throw accurately right after the snap. Obviously throwing downfield, that's where you start to see some of the interceptions crop up. But yeah, he's shown enough in college that he's going to be probably an early day 3 pick.
Great job. I'm definitely going to reach out to you as we get closer to the draft and after your top 500 comes out. Thanks for doing this. Hope you're well. Thor Nystrom, everybody. Thanks, Thor.
Always a pleasure talking to you, Kevin. Thank you.
Yep. At Thorku, THORKU. The first of what will be many, many draft conversations between now and the end of April.